Well, folks, thanks for tuning into your weekend edition. This is where we give you a little snapshot of the week ahead rather than going in on a whole lot of really specific items, but we want to show you the trends that are developing in North America, Canada, US, the UK, even Asia, and so showing how they all kind of blend together in some ways so you can be talking and sharing with your friends about what you see coming up in the week ahead. Well, Iran is right. Thinking about politics there. Iran and U.S. continues, of course, that's far from over. And talks moving back, direct talks into Pakistan. I've never really understood that myself because Pakistan secretly is a big backer of Iran and would love to see Iran also get a nuclear weapon. But I think it seems like the Trump administration thinks that can buy them some extra time. We'll see what happens. Watch that for the week ahead. And at the same time, Trump is really pushing hard on this thing for toll-free Strait of Hormuz. Does not want Iran to be able to to charge ships for going through there. Iran is holding off on that point, just as they are on the point of they refuse to say they will not develop their uranium, which they still have buried deep in the ground, into a nuclear weapon. So watch for that in the week ahead. Very interesting that the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, who was got a lot of attention when she first got the post, and by all appearances, a huge job being done by her. And she's resigning, and she says, there's lots of speculation. She says the reason is because her husband has developed a very rare type of bone cancer and is in very serious health, and she wants to spend more time caring for him. I'm not going to be cynical. Some people are saying that's kind of made up. I'm not going to be cynical. I'm going to take her at her word for that. Watch that story continue to develop, and if that is true and that's the case, then of course we feel badly for her family. Well, I told you that Thomas Massie would lose, would get dumped in his race in Texas, and he did get dumped as we predicted here. And also said keep an eye on this Democrat primary where Maureen Galindo is running in the Texas district congressional primary there, and running on things like she's going to turn ICE facilities into incarceration facilities for Zionists. She finished first in the Texas district's first congressional primary, as I kind of warned about. Let's see if she's successful as things move on there. And then you've probably heard, and if you haven't, you should be interested to know, watch for the coming developments. There's a guy by the name, we've talked a little bit about him, running for office in the state of Maine. He's trying to go after the long-standing Republican there. Her name is Susan Collins. She's been there like forever. But if ever there was a candidate who has a list of controversial statements, both recent and past, it's this guy, Graham Plattner. Everything from he hid the fact he tattooed over a swastika that he had tattooed on him. All of his posts, recent and even going far back, are categorized as being gross, as being sexually related. I can't even repeat all the stuff he says, including stuff he does when he's sitting in a porta potty. It's just unbelievable, the stuff he has said, but it shows, you used to get dumped if you said the mildest of things in a post like 10 years ago. But it seems now, and the Democratic senators themselves are saying, well, they're undecided. They're looking at the controversial statements. What they're undecided about is they're watching the polls. If the polls are indicating that people are not happy with the incredibly grotesque and frightening statements made by this guy, if the polls show it's okay, then the Democrat senators are going to be okay. So we're going to watch that. Is the pressure on Graham Plattner going to develop so much for the horrific things he's been saying recently in the past that he steps down? Let's keep an eye on that. If you haven't heard of, over in the influence world, if you haven't heard of Alex Cooper, she has a podcast, a huge multi-million-dollar podcast, Empire actually, and her podcast is called Call Her Daddy. She's, very attractive, and for years has been promoting and telling young women, you got to get out there, don't settle down, live a wild life, enjoy yourself, and do everything you want to do. I won't talk about all the things she suggests that women should be feeling free to do, but she's got millions of people mad at her because she's announcing that she's getting married. She's looking forward to having a child. She can't wait to be a stay-at-home mom. So millions of young women kind of feeling jilted by Alex Cooper there. Well, we'll see where that goes. For years I've said with the controversy around sporting and the testing that goes on to see if you've taken some type of drug. And, I kind of have always thought we should have nice, clean Olympics. We've seen cases where Olympic stars who've trained all their lives have also lost the ability to compete because they find trace elements in their system, which sometimes turn out to be things as mild as taking a cold medicine like 3 months before they got tested. So generally speaking, I've been saying for years, why don't we just have, I used to call it the steroid games, just call it wide open, and you don't have to worry about those who want to take these things. And it's happening this weekend in Las Vegas. Athletes gathering for, this is the full first time ever, the inaugural Enhanced Games. It's called the Enhanced Games. And look, I don't support or promote drug use, but for those who are inclined to want to take those enhancing drugs, let them have their own games. Just for those who want to compete as trans people, as biologically born males, and they want to compete unfairly, very unfairly against women and girls, let them have their own games, and then everybody can compete. Let's see how the Enhanced Games go over in Las Vegas this weekend. But the other thing happening this weekend, of course, is the Trump family, Trump Jr. getting married for the third time. And a couple of questions are, is his bride-to-be going to change her last name from Anderson to Trump? She's 39 years old, very accomplished from everything we can see, graduated from Columbia University, and a huge crowd going to be there. The president himself, President Trump, says he's busy this weekend. He's not sure if he's going to make it to the wedding or not. In fact, they actually got married on Thursday, but the big celebrations are happening. So watch for that. And I guess some people, it's going to be a big deal whether President Trump attends the wedding or not. Well, another wedding that a lot of people want to attend is the upcoming wedding with Taylor Swift, of course, and her love, Kelsey, football player. That's still is not announced the actual date, but they think it's going to be New York City, and they think it's going to be July the 3rd. At least that's what Page Six is reporting. But interesting, on a talk show, very recent, Prince William kind of wants to make sure he's getting an invite to that. And apparently he's friends with Taylor Swift, and he actually dropped it right on the talk show. He said, well, he hopes he gets an invitation. So folks, if you want to get an invitation to Taylor Swift's wedding, get on a show, maybe get on my podcast, and then drop the hint that you'd kind of like to get an invitation. You may get to go. Look at some of the changes that are happening after a whole lot of reaction, and quite proper reaction over the last few years, about how Hollywood went so grotesquely woke, and the crazy things that they're supporting, and all of the trans stuff from so many movies. And the last few big movies that are out are having none of that. For instance, Star Wars movie back, The Mandalorian and Grogu, or is it Groju? I'm not sure. Apparently a fun movie. Lots of Star Wars fans from way back, including myself, going to be watching that. But it's just a straight up fun adventure movie. And another one, Hugh Jackman is leading a cast in the movie The Sheep Detectives, and it's being called a movie for all the families. It's being very well acclaimed, even if it's hitting the theaters this weekend. And again, completely lacking in woke garbage, as they call it. Nobody trying to push an agenda, and trying to get families, it seems to be the majority of the viewing public, is not enamored of the woke agenda that we've been getting so much out of Hollywood and other places. People are gone berserk on President Trump, because right in the backdrop of apparently this heartbreaking situation that Stephen Colbert is no longer going to be a talk show host, it's a meme. It's kind of funny though. World leaders doing these kind of memes, that's up to them. But it shows him picking up Colbert and tossing him into a dumpster right on Colbert's stage. Obviously, it's a fake, but it's kind of funny, even though I don't know if I would have posted it myself. But the media world, they're calling it violent. Oh, they are shocked. They're scandalized, but no similar sense of scandal from mainstream media when you have talk show hosts talking about making jokes about killing Melania Trump, or the killing of Charlie Kirk. or praising that the guy who killed the CEO of the insurance company. So the left can make all kinds of statements, callous, hard statements about killing, but apparently nobody else can. Just a comment on it was the finale, and we talked about it yesterday, it was coming up, of Stephen Colbert. Look, I'm not sure what all the emotion and tears are about, because there's lots of late night comedians left on the air, and mainstream networks do not there's virtually no what I would call center right or conservative late night talk show hosts. There's comedians out there for sure, and some of them are pretty good. So it was basically a love-in, even Paul McCartney showing up, and a love-in to Stephen Colbert, who was significantly, severely left-wing on all of his broadcasts. And there's still, do not despair, folks, lots left to watch on your late night left-leaning shows, comedians. Well, the Wall Street Journal has an interesting report out today, and it's a trend, and watch for this to continue. More dads, they say, are scaling back at the office so they can spend more time with their kids and do a little more housework. A positive trend. Way back, even Barack Obama was saying the biggest problem in the Black community is absentee fatherhood. Fathers just being around more, just showing up more, not disappearing on as many business trips or just leaving the family altogether. So we'll see if that particular trend continues. A fascinating story in British Columbia, Canada. A few years ago, after years of controversy, there was the building what's called a Site C dam, the Site C, that's the letter C. And it just went through years and years of environmental protest. This was going to be the end of the world. It was going to be the loss of every species known to man. And Site C is up and running, and all three generators are going. They are giving power to about the equivalent of about 500,000 homes. It's been a huge success, and because it's based on hydropower, water power, almost zero emissions. So in spite of all the controversy about it, it turned out very successful. But John Horgan, who was, and actually I say this, may he rest in peace. I considered him a friend. I did work with him, even though he was NDP socialist premier, a very reasonable guy. And he opposed the dam. There's even a famous picture of him standing out there at the dam site, holding up a picture. It says, Site C sucks. Site C sucks. They're naming the dam after him. Just got announced, because originally he opposed it. He came around being a reasonable guy and wound up supporting it. So interesting how time and history can change things there. Well, a judge has found a little while ago, we reported on a vicious dog attack that killed an 11-year-old boy, and that particular dog had been noted before in very serious attacks. A vicious dog. Cash Grist was the 11-year-old boy who was killed. And of course, the dog owners saying, our dog is never like that. As I said before, I've been a runner for years and years, and I've been attacked a number of times by dogs. Some people might say, well, you deserved it. Maybe so. But I can tell you, anytime I've been attacked, the owner said, oh, the dog is never like that. He's really always friendly. So a little bit of a warning there to dog owners: curb your dog. If your dog is a dog that attacks, I don't know why you would want to be responsible for that. But anyway, the verdict has come out, and the owner has been found guilty of manslaughter. We'll see about how they get sentenced. There's another judge. There's a judge ruling in Ontario just happened, and Premier Ford has slammed a judge. But this judge. There's been a huge problematic in the city of Kitchener, one of these tent camps, drug-filled, predators-filled, all kinds of terrible stuff. It's stopping even transportation areas being developed. And so the city of Kitchener say, we're going to clean that out. And they moved to clear out the encampment. A judge has said you can't do that. And the Premier of Ontario, who does say he supports the judiciary, of course, he's saying he'd like to get that guy and have him live out at the camp. So hopefully that type of ruling is going to be overturned. A lot of Canadians who are in the United States right now are upset. They've been applying for green cards and waiting for the application. Now they're being told that anybody applying for a green card is going to have to apply from abroad. In other words, they're going to have to leave the United States and make the applications. In all the stories we get about travel to the U.S. and being down somewhat, Not much reporting on the fact hundreds of thousands of Canadians, in fact, are wanting to get their green card in the U.S., and now they're being told by Trump they're going to have to go home to Canada first, apply from there. Let's see what happens. Well, interesting development this week as 14 Liberal members of Parliament have signed a letter, and they're upset with Prime Minister Carney because he's allowing some of these big projects to go ahead. And of course, these are severe left-leaning environmental activists who are predicting the end of the world. They've been predicting it for about 50 years now, and the world seems to just keep getting better. Anyway, interesting that the media is not interested in who those MPs are. They know the letter's been signed. If it had been, as some media are reporting out, if this had been conservative MPs, finding fault with Pierre Poilievre, as some have, wow, they get top treatment. Their names are out there. They get interviewed. CBC seeming not to want to raise too much of a concern about 14 Liberal MPs now not so happy with their boss, Prime Minister Carney. Danielle Smith, the Premier in Alberta, who's actually a great Premier. She does amazing things. She's got more courage than most of the male premiers I know, though there's some good male premiers out there. She says she's open to the consideration of the Constitution being amended to alter treaty rights so that property rights can be protected. Let's see where that's going to get her into some hot water, but she may be onto something there that needs to take a serious look. And in light of the 14 MPs signing against Prime Minister Carney, there's a story out today. Simon Tuck has an interesting point of view that Pierre Poilievre actually could make a comeback. I believe he could also. He's got to be patient. Remember, opposition leaders don't usually win elections. Governments get thrown out. And he's been very steady, even though he's been under criticism, and he's had some people walk the floor because they want to make sure they get a paycheck with the Liberals. So I'm saying watch. Just watch. Pierre Poilievre, just keep doing your job, keep staying focused, and you may be rewarded for that. In terms of what's going to happen in the future, very interesting reports that increasingly people who are interested in, for instance, tarot cards and going to all kinds of people who predict the future, more and more people are going to AI and asking for their future to interpret cards. Some are using Gemini, some are using ChatGPT. More and more people, instead of going to those tarot card places that seem to be on every corner, are doing their looking for AI to be their secret guide and tarot type card reader. At the same time as that story, an interesting story in the Nation newspaper, or the Nation article, that on the flip side of that, Bryce Crawford, you may not have heard of him, but he's an evangelical. He's tattooed from head to foot. He wears silver hoop earrings and cargo pants. He's getting huge audiences from Gen Z. He's got about 3 million followers. Runs a very strong evangelistic program, but a very sort of fired up type of presentation. He packs the place out wherever he goes. He was just in Times Square and packed the place out there, 1,500 people. And so we've got this combination going on. We've got on the side of the mystics with their tarot cards and other predictive capabilities, and we've also got among Gen Z seems to be a huge increase in looking to the Bible for their guidance. I was fascinated a number of years ago. I used to drive by every day a tarot card place on the corner, and one day I saw a huge sign there. It had gone bankrupt, and there was a big sign saying that it was closed due to bankruptcy. And I thought to myself, didn't they know? Didn't the tarot card owners of that business know? Anyway, it's a classic battle going on right now because, of course, the tarot card crowd and the predictive crowd, they like to say that the Bible isn't necessarily true and that Jesus Christ is not necessarily Lord. And now, correspondingly, Gen Z followers more and more looking to the Bible, which actually gives a lots of warning about not going to seances and not looking to those type of things, not looking to tarot cards. Classic battle raging. We'll see where it goes. I think we know who wins in the long run. Folks, there you are for things to look at developing in the week ahead. Have a great weekend. Thanks for tuning in.